for expensive sushi.
Thank you so much. Yuka Royer there with the business news. Now it's time to take a look at what's making headlines in international newspapers around the world. Deepti Laurent has joined us on set. Welcome back, Deepti. You're starting with some reactions to Donald Trump's decision to overturn a ban on offshore drilling.
Well, he announced on Thursday that he wants to expand oil and gas drilling in nearly all U.S. coastal waters, essentially revoking those environmental protections that Barack Obama, his predecessor, put into place. The editors at the Wall Street Journal hailed the decision. They say it would raise billions in federal revenue and make the U.S. energy independent. The paper says as long as drilling safety and accident prevention measures are put in place, there's, quote, no good reason not to exploit America's offshore resources for the public good, they say. Obviously, not everyone agrees. It's drawn a lot of backlash from Democrats, even some Republicans and environmentalists. The Washington Post explains that in any case, California in particular, but all coastal states by law control the 5 kilometers between the land and sea. So they really decide on the permits connecting the land, oil platforms to land. So in this case, the past oil spills in California in particular have given them even more input and say in coastal activities. So not all is lost yet.
All right, well, we'll see how that plays out. Now, let's stay with Trump policy. His latest decision to cut off all aid to Pakistan has drawn angry reactions in the local press there.
We've been looking at one opinion piece from the Pakistan Observer. One writer says, well, the U.S. Essentially, the U.S. accuses Pakistan of providing safe havens to terrorists from a neighboring Afghanistan. So this columnist from the Pakistan Observer says cutting off aid to Pakistan is just a ruse by the U.S. to scapegoat Islamabad in order to, quote, hide its enormous failure in Afghanistan. So very scathing commentary there from this writer. The writer warns that decisions like this will be pushing Pakistan in particular closer, pushing them to gravitate towards China and away from the U.S., so kind of a not-so-subtle warning there. Another writer, Barkha Dutt, who is an Indian TV journalist, well, she's written a really searing piece in the Washington Post saying cutting off aid will have little impact. The reason being that Pakistan survives in the, quote, smug belief that Washington will inevitably turn to it for mopping up its half-finished mess in Afghanistan. Ouch.
Ouch. Absolutely. Well, moving on now. The death of a human rights lawyer in Ukraine is making headlines.
Well, it's been making headlines in the Ukrainian press and sort of making its way into the foreign press now as well. Irina Nozdrovska was found dead in a river in Kiev on January the 1st. Now, she had been stabbed multiple times, several times, and investigators are due to publish their findings into her death this Friday. She disappeared 2 days after helping block the release from prison of the nephew of an influential judge. Now, this nephew had killed her sister in a hit-and-run last year. Irina's death, the journalist's death, the lawyer's death, rather, has sparked widespread protests and anger in Ukraine from people who say the justice system is corrupt and needs to be changed. Ukraine's foreign minister has said her death is a test of, quote, our society's ability to ensure justice. For one writer in the U.S. paper Washington Times, Ukraine is failing that test horrifically.
All right, Deepti. Now, we are ending on a case of too many tapas in Spain for the elite army unit. They've been put on a strict diet due to obesity fears.
That's right. This is not just about, splurging a little too much over Christmas and New Year. The Telegraph explains that Spain's Spanish Legion is putting thousands of soldiers on a weight loss plan. This includes strict dieting, exercise, and regular body mass index tests. If they fail this, they could eventually be kicked out of the army. According to a document published by the Spanish daily El País, the older age of the elite soldiers, physical deterioration, boredom, and general acceptance of excess weight are being blamed for this obesity fear. Now, what's interesting is this is a very army that actually made a huge buzz last year because, for different reasons, there were pictures of buff, brawny Spanish soldiers in tight-fitting, low-cut shirts that you see here that got many people on Twitter all hot and bothered. Well, back then it was because it showed off their muscle. So I guess time really does...
Yeah, but just in a year, man, what happened?
I think that's what we're all wondering.
Okay, well, less cerveza for them, huh? Thank you so much, Deepti, with that press review. We'll be back in just a few minutes after the break with more news on France 24. Do stay with us.